Okay, so I don't know where we were at when that cut off, and I really apologize. I think I got everything situated now. So I want you guys to see in these 5 trials that we did here, we got different results on almost every single trial. So you can't guarantee a certain number of boxes, but you can do an estimate, and the best way to do that is to take the average of all of your results, and when you take the average of these 5 numbers, you get 6.4. So to answer our question, we'd round to the nearest whole number, and we'd say we'd have to buy 6 boxes of cereal. Now we are going to play a dice game next. All right, we are going to play 21. All right, so we are going to play the game of 21. And the object of this game is to have a score as close to 21 without going over. And I want to say that our current score is 18. So current score is 18. All right, so I'm going to ask you, do I roll again or do I stay? So during class, you guys would have seen Will and Lexi said they would have went for it. Everybody else said they would have stayed. And so what we're going to do is we are going to do some trials, and we are going to record, if I roll one more time, the number that we roll, and then if it's a win or a loss. And we're going to say a win means we didn't go over 21. A loss means that we bust. So for trial 1, we would roll a die, and we get a 2. So if we currently have 18, and then we roll a 2, that gives us a 20. So that we're going to call that a win. All right, so then for trial 2, I get a 4. Oh, that gives me a score of 22, because 18 plus 4, that would be a bust. That's a loss. All right, then trial 3, we get another 2, so that's good. That's a win. So basically, 1s, 2s, and 3s are good. 4s, 5s, and 6s are bad. All right, so I got another 4 for trial number 4. That's a loss. All right, then I got a 1 for trial number 5, which is good. Then trial number 6, I get a 6, and that's a loss. That's definitely a bust. All right, then I got another bust on trial number 7 with a 4. Another 4. Oh, and a 1. And my last roll is another 4. 4 was definitely my lucky roll, and that's a loss. So in this case, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 10 were good rolls, and we had 6 out of 10, which is a loss. So on this one, just based on these results, we lost more times than we did well. So we would say, based on our results, of 10 trials, we should not roll. Now, I want to show you what we did in class. In class, we did this exact same thing, which I had to give them a hypothetical in pink. But if you see during class when we did this and we all took turns rolling, we were actually 5 wins and 5 losses. So based on our results in class, there was no evidence to say I should or shouldn't roll. It was just even. So it's totally dependent on how your trials run, whether or not you're going to go, depending on the situation, if you're going to, in this case, roll or not roll. On your assignment today, the last 3 questions, I am going to require you to do 10 trials. So you would set up something similar to this based on the situation. So you might be like assigning digits like the David Beckham question, or you might be doing some rolling with dice like we did here. But I do want to say, I can't stress enough that you need to study the simulation. So it goes through step by step. So you need to study the simulation on page 260 to 262 in the Chapter 11 text. So if you go through that, it actually tells you how to assign a random digit and how you get those numbers, and breaks everything down, talks about conclusions. I like the way that it shows you how to show your work. So it is definitely something I would look over before you start your assignment. All right, and then the last thing I'm going to talk about are bad simulations. All right, so this is a bad simulation. We're going to talk about why. It says, we are going to use a random 0 to 9 to represent the number of heads when 9 coins are tossed. So if you are tossing 9 different coins, they can either be heads or tails. So on this one, using a random digit from 0 to 9, it doesn't specify which ones are heads. You know, like if you wanted to do something where you're like, if you wanted to, you don't know which numbers mean heads or tails. So the correct way would be to assign half of the numbers heads and half of the numbers tails. You could do 0 or 4. Another way to do this, you could say odd numbers represent heads and even represents tails. And then flip the coin or pick a random number. If you didn't have a coin to flip, you could just do a random integer with your calculator. And you guys can use your calculators, do that random integer, math, PRB, go down to option, is it 4 or 5? I can't remember. All right, the second bad example, you have a basketball player taking a foul shot or free throw, and it says we're assigning digits from 0 to 9, and odds represent a good shot or a make, and evens represent a missed shot. And this is not a good example of how to set up this simulation. There might be some other factors that could come into play. So if you think about a basketball player, I don't know, I would say most good basketball players practice free throw shots, and probably if they're on the basketball team, they're probably going to make more than they miss. That tends to be the way sports work. If you are on the team, you're usually pretty good. So I would say on this one, the skill level is not taken into consideration. So hopefully a basketball player has a better than a 50%, because odd and even splits it right down the middle. We would hope that a basketball player has a better than a 50% shot. So this is just an example. Let's just say that a person has a 70% rate of making shots. What we would do, we would make sure that 70% of the digits, 0 through 6, are makes, and then 7, 8, and 9 are misses, because this is 70, that's 70%, and then this would be 30% because there's 3 digits in that second range, 7 in the first one. And then you could do a random integer, and I think your homework today, I can't remember if it's like what are the chances that you make 2 in a row, or maybe make 6 in a row. There are a couple basketball questions, but I know you have a basketball question kind of like this, and I wanted to give you guys some ideas on how to set that up. And if you have questions, you have class time to work tomorrow, so if you're here, you can ask in person. If you're not here, you can ask on the Google Meet, whatever your situation is. And then our last one is this random 1 through 13 to represent denominations of a poker hand. Yes, I agree that there are 13 cards, like ace, and then 2 through 10, and then jack, queen, king. There are 13, but if you just use the numbers 1, 13, it doesn't take into association suits. And in poker hands, suits matter, so we can't really use that. So what you have to do on this one, you would have to assign each number, all 52 cards would have to have its own number. So you would have to have like the ace of spades be a number, and then the ace of hearts would have to be a different number, and then like the queen of hearts would have to be different than the queen of diamonds. All 52 cards would have to have its own unique number, and then you would have to do a random number of like 1 to 52. And that's definitely not easy to do and remember which cards are which. You'd like honestly have to make a key to that, and that would just not be a good example to do. But I just wanted, on this one, I would probably not expect you to do a correct version of this. I just wanted you to know why it's bad. And yes, there are 13 cards in each suit, but it doesn't, the 1 through 13 doesn't recognize the 4 different suits to get a total of 52 cards. So your assignment, Just bear with me. I had to restart my computer. I had some issues with it during class, and Mr. Irwin helped me get it going again. So if you guys look at the AP Stats schedule, you guys can see up at the top, I now have a Google Meet link. And so when you guys want to join in, I always have that open. I actually am turning it on at first hour and shutting it off only during lunch. And so I have a lunch, so 11 to 11:30 is not the best time to get a hold of me. But the rest of the time, if you're working on homework, most of my classes I have built-in work days, so that way people can ask questions while they are here. A lot of my lectures are on E-days. So if you guys have questions on your homework, 5th hour is definitely the best time to get a hold of me because you know what your class is working on. But if I'm free in another class, I definitely will talk to you and answer your questions. So you can see I have the part 1 video. I will be uploading the part 2 in just a second. Your assignment is not due until Friday. And I'm giving you guys all week because these last 3 are where you're setting up and doing trials. And so it does take a little bit more work. And it's due on Friday. Wednesday, there is a reading guide. Cami is not being our best friend right now. So for those of you that are in person, I do have a paper copy. And then the quarantine kids, I will give you information. If Cami is not going on Wednesday, I will solve that I'll cross that bridge when I get there. And then Thursday and Friday, we will be doing frappies or taking notes over chapter 12 on video, depending on what group you are in. And if you are a quarantine person, you guys will be following the Group B schedule. So you guys will be doing your frappy on Friday at home. And I will be giving you guys some individual information about that. So check your email and check your Canvas messages. Just for those of you that are quarantined and you will not be in person Thursday or Friday, I have a different way I'm going to have you guys do your frappy. And I'm waiting to see if Cami gets fixed before I make that decision on how I want to go about that. So just stay tuned. I promise I did not anticipate having Cami difficulties and camera difficulties today. Every single thing I've tried to do with technology on day 1 of hybrid has not worked in my favor. So I apologize, and I'm wanting this to be as smooth as possible. So if there's something that you guys are not getting, or if you are missing something, or you feel like I've not explained something clearly, please, please, please reach out. Today was kind of a mess. So again, send me an email, jump on that Google Meet. This is honestly the quickest way to get a hold of me, just because I have my MacBook going with my schoolwork, and then I have the Chromebook specifically just for meetings. So it's pretty much just like an open group. So just join in. And my 7th hour class is getting ready to walk in, so I will talk to you guys all tomorrow, and have a great afternoon.